Greetings, YouTube. This is something I don't have many of in my collection. This is a completely custom knife. Though it was made by an outsider artist, this is not a professional by any way, shape, or form. The first thing that really impressed me was the sheath. It's really in nice shape, and it's very basic, but it's still in nice shape. I actually probably put the slits a little bit further up, but that's just me. I think this person may have been more concerned about the blade rubbing against their body, which is somewhat discernible, and I think they carried this thing. From the look of it, they really did. Though it isn't particularly, it's not secured in here by anything but gravity, so that may have been a slight concern to me. Though it may have been tighter one time when they first purchased it or first made it. It may have been a little tighter. So we're gonna take it out. Here we go. Look at that blade shape from the classic Bowie design. It is just a simple wood handle. I cannot tell you what this wood is. I don't know enough about woods to tell you that. But it is a U shape, so they just cut this slot in there. They just may have done that on a bandsaw. I mean, on a table saw, and you got a handle. Because it isn't perfect, because you can see the blade actually tapers slightly when it gets to here, and there's a gap. See the gap in there. So it was not a perfect job. It is pinned in two places. Down here, it's got a little wear on the handle, and then here, which goes all the way through the guard. And the guard is kind of interesting on this. It actually works, first of all, because you can grab this in a hammer grip, and that's completely covering your hand. So your hand is not slipping onto that blade. So very well done. But it's one piece of sheet metal, which they've bent over so that it fits onto the scales, and then they drill through here, and they then peened over a pin and then polished it up. But they went to the trouble to bevel it, because this down here is thinner than up here. So they actually went to the extent to make it a little more aesthetically pleasing and a little more ergonomic to hold, so you're not hitting this really abrupt shift in width. And this is all cut out by hand. May have been done with files for all I know. The blade itself is kind of rough. The ridge line is not what you would call perfect. This is one bevel here, and this whole thing appears to be flat ground. I can't really tell any kind of bevel, any kind of hollow grinding, other than the fact that it may have been done. There's maybe a slight one just because of the way it was manufactured, because the belt had been that shape. But there's no hollow grinding on here intentionally. The tip is very dull. It came out of the sheath with a not really usable blade whatsoever. There are a few nicks and dings in the edge, and it looks like it at one time may have had an actual convex edge, which is a big boon to me, because it shows me that whoever made this, as primitive as it is, understood that a flat grind with a convex edge is the best possible edge you can have on any knife. So kudos. Now, I paid slightly more than this than I usually pay for knives at flea markets. I paid $25 for this. But I really like the vibe. It has a nice feel to it, even though the handle is essentially a rectangle. It's got a slight rounding on the end. It's still comfortable. The handle itself is a little on the light side. There's no really weight in here, so it's kind of tip heavy. But it's not a big blade, it's not a heavy blade, so you're not going to be doing a lot of chopping with this. Though you could baton with this. As far as the blade length is concerned, I have no idea what kind of steel this is or how well it was hardened, so I don't know if batoning with this would be smart or not. But it's got a lot of wear marks on it. Some of them are obviously from sharpening, but some of them just appear to be wear and tear of everyday use. So this thing got used, and that makes me happy. So this has been a kind of a classic American hunting knife made by some amateur somewhere in America. I would love to know the story of this knife. I would love to know how many hands it's passed down through, who made it, what was their motivation, what was their shop like if they had one, how primitive were the building circumstances under which they made this. I would really love to know these things. This is the kind of thing that makes me perk up and listen. but it's a nice design. I think it's well executed. The sheath is very well done. So yeah, this has been one of my very few custom hunting knives.